You are hosing drilling mud off the deck at 3 in the morning for about 50 grand a year, and one bad decade later, you might be the person who can shut a rig down with a sentence and clear a $250,000. Level 1. The green roustabout. You are usually young here, maybe 20, maybe 26, maybe older and starting over, because rent beat pride. You show up with steel toe boots, a hard hat, gloves, safety glasses, and that nervous look people get when the machine around them is bigger than any building they have ever worked in. If you are offshore, just getting qualified can cost real money before you even earn any. Basic offshore safety and emergency training can run roughly $1,000 to $2,000. Add your transportation worker identification credential, basic medical checks, maybe hydrogen sulfide awareness, and suddenly the easy money has already charged admission. Your first scene is not heroic. You are dragging hoses, cleaning decks, chipping rust, painting handrails, moving supplies, and trying not to get in the way. You think the job is about strength? Bigger guy wins, lift more, complain less, cash checks. Then your first hitch teaches you the real rule. The job is about not doing stupid things near heavy things. A mentor, probably a man who looks carved out of old leather and nicotine, tells you to keep your head on a swivel. He does not mean that poetically. Lines under tension snap, pipes swing. Slippery steel does not care about your backstory. The first humiliation comes fast. You grab the wrong tool, stand in the wrong place, or forget to repeat an instruction back. Nobody screams because they hate you. They scream because hesitation and confusion get people hurt. Pay at this level is often around $40,000 to $60,000 a year, but that number lies a little. Rotation schedules, overtime, and offshore premiums can push it higher. Some first-year workers beat $60,000 because they live on the rig, work brutal hours, and barely see home. That sounds glamorous until you are eating reheated eggs under fluorescent light on day 11 and your family is living a whole separate life without you. What you really earn here is trust. If you show up early, stay awake in safety meetings, wear your fall protection correctly, and stop pretending you understand instructions you actually missed, people start using your name without rolling their eyes. Then someone says, "You're ready for the floor." That is the door. Level 2, the roughneck. Now you are on the drill floor and the romance disappears in about 10 seconds. This is the level outsiders imagine when they say oil rig worker. Noise, mud, iron, speed. You are handling drill pipe, tongs, slips, chains, and anything else the operation demands. The floor is where the rig stops being a place and becomes a rhythm. Everybody moves in sequence. If you break the rhythm, you become the problem. You believe the hard part is physical pain. And yes, your shoulders, hands, and lower back all file formal complaints. But the real hard part is pace under pressure. A trip is happening. Pipe is moving. Commands are short. You have to hear through engine noise, understand hand signals, and place your body correctly without drifting into the red zone. This is usually where you stop being a tourist in the industry. You learn why roughnecks get paid more than the average person expects. Not because the company is charitable, because the risk, schedule, and attrition are real. Depending on region and rotation, you might be in the $50,000 to $70,000 range, sometimes more with overtime. Offshore can pay 15 to 30% more than similar inshore work. If oil prices are strong and crews are thin, the raises come fast. If prices collapse, that same phone can go silent for weeks. Your first real mistake here stays with you. Maybe you fail to secure something properly. Maybe you step where your mentor told you not to step. Maybe you get casual about a pinch point because you made it through 10 shifts in a row. Nothing happened, so you think nothing will. That is how rig work punishes confidence before it earns competence. You also start learning the social ladder. The driller watches everything. The derrickhand is not just the guy up there. The experienced hands know who is steady and who is just loud. You start to realize this career has rooms inside rooms. The workers who rise are not merely toughest, they are useful under stress. That realization pulls you upward. Level 3. The hand who knows the mud. After a couple of years, if you have not washed out, you become something more valuable than labor. You become predictable. On a rig, predictable is beautiful. This is where many workers move toward floorhand with real responsibility or into the derrickhand path. The scene changes. You are climbing higher, literally, or taking ownership over systems that used to sound like a foreign language. If you become a derrickhand, you are working up in the derrick and around the mud system. You monitor drilling fluids, help with pipe handling, and keep the circulation side of the operation from turning into chaos. You used to think mud was just dirty water. Now you know it is chemistry, pressure control, cooling, lubrication, and expensive consequences. A badly managed mud system can turn into lost time, damaged equipment, or worse. This is where your hands stop being your only tool. You start reading gauges, tracking volumes, understanding returns, and listening for the tone in a driller's voice when the well is acting wrong. The work is still dangerous, still dirty, still shift-based, but now you are being trusted with the part beginners never even notice. Your pay starts to reflect that. Roughly $70,000 to $90,000 is common in many markets, though real numbers swing with location, company, and commodity prices. You also discover the first adult truth of the trade. Your career is not just built by surviving, it is built by certifications and credibility. Well-controlled training starts mattering. Depending on company and role, you may be pushed toward International Association of Drilling Contractors or International Well Control Forum certification. Those credentials are not decoration. They are the industry asking whether you understand what happens when pressure stops being theoretical. You miss a birthday here, or an anniversary, or your kid says you look weird on a video call because they are used to seeing you in coveralls more than in normal clothes. The money is getting better, so is the distance between your work self and your home self. Then one hitch, the driller lets you handle more, and you feel the next rung under your boots. Level 4. The assistant driller. This is the apprenticeship inside the apprenticeship. You are close enough to the control side to see the whole picture, but not yet in the chair that carries the blame. You help coordinate the floor, read the operation, track what the crew is doing, and start translating between the physical work and the drilling plan. You used to believe the driller mainly pulls levers and barks orders. Now you see the mental stack, rate of penetration, torque, pump pressure, mud weight, crew fatigue, weather, equipment mood. Yes, equipment has moods. Any machine that waits until 2 in the morning to act haunted has earned that description. At this level, people test whether you can think while others panic. A connection takes too long. Returns look odd. A hand freezes up. A piece of equipment goes down. You are not the boss yet, but your reaction tells everyone whether you are promotable or just experienced. The money can jump into the $80,000 to $100,000 neighborhood, sometimes higher with the right schedule and basin. You also learn that paperwork is part of power. Permits, reports, pre-job meetings, hazard assessments, lockout steps, shift handovers. None of it looks cinematic, but this is the membrane between a hard crew and a professional operation. The old roughneck version of you would have mocked clipboards. The newer version knows clipboards are sometimes what stop helicopters, lawyers, and funerals from entering the story. Then one day, the driller takes a break, you cover a little more than usual, and the whole rig seems to tilt toward you. Not physically, socially, that is when you know the next level is not a dream anymore. It is a test date. Level 5, the driller. Now you are in the chair. On many rigs, this is the line where people stop calling you one of the guys and start watching your face for permission. You run the controls, manage the crew on the drill floor through the operation, and keep the well inside the boundaries everybody agreed were safe. You are still in the dirt and noise, but your real tool is judgment. The first scene here is not triumph, it is quiet fear. Your mentor walks away a little farther than usual, the radios sound louder, a simple decision suddenly has 10 attached consequences. When to stop, when to slow down, when to call the tool pusher, when to refuse to rush because somebody on the phone wants faster footage and lower cost. This is where courage stops looking like swagger and starts looking like restraint. Your pay may rise into something like $90,000 to $120,000, sometimes more in strong markets. Good money, serious money if you came from hourly jobs with no ladder. But now every dollar feels attached to responsibility. When a junior hand is drifting mentally near the end of a long tour, you see it. When a supervisor from town wants numbers, you still own the floor. When the well shows signs that pressure is behaving badly, you cannot guess. You act. Well control stops being a line on a certificate and becomes a religion. Blowout preventers, shut-in procedures, kick indicators, circulation decisions. The industry has paid for these lessons in blood and headlines. You inherit that memory whether you want it or not. This is also where pride becomes dangerous again. Some drillers rise because they are calm and procedural. Others stall because they love being the tough guy in the chair more than they love learning. The future tool pushers are usually the ones who know exactly how much they still do not know. That humility opens the next door. Level 6, the tool pusher. You do not just run a job anymore, you run people, schedules, supplies, tension, and excuses. The tool pusher is the senior rig supervisor on many drilling crews, the person tying the operator's expectations to the rig's reality. You walk into the doghouse before dawn, Coffee already half cold, and your phone is carrying problems before your boots hit the steel. At lower levels, you thought authority meant telling people what to do. Now you learn authority is eating every problem nobody else can solve. A pump issue, a short shipment, a handoff mistake, a green worker who should not have been sent out yet, a veteran who has become sloppy, a weather delay, a near miss that has to be investigated honestly, even though everybody wants it to disappear. This is where pay can climb into roughly $150,000 to $250,000 in high-demand situations, but it does not feel like winning every day. You are awake when others sleep. You are mediating between office people who speak in budgets and crews who speak in consequences. You know that one bad hiring decision can ripple across weeks of operation. Your status changes too. People straighten up when you arrive. Vendors answer your calls. The driller brings you problems earlier instead of later. You sign off on decisions that cost real money per hour. Because on a rig, delay is not annoyance. Delay is a burn rate. And then you discover a fork in the road. One path keeps you on the rig into senior management. The other path pulls you toward the office, engineering, or the operator side, where the stakes get less muddy and more abstract, but not smaller. If you have the technical hunger, that next room opens. Level 7, the drilling engineer. This is the level where the same well that once looked like muscle now looks like a math problem with consequences. Maybe you came up through the field and added serious technical training. Maybe you started with an engineering degree and field time finally gave you credibility. Either way, you now live where plans are built, challenged, costed, and defended. Your scene is different now. Screens, models, directional plans, casing programs, hydraulics, mud programs, risk reviews, conference calls, but the field never fully leaves you. The best drilling engineers can still smell nonsense through a spreadsheet because they know what a rig can and cannot physically do at 4 in the morning with a tired crew and a questionable piece of iron. Salaries here can range widely, roughly $100,000 to $300,000 for specialized roles, especially offshore or in technically demanding regions. The money is real, but so is the responsibility. A bad engineering assumption does not stay in the office. It shows up as non-productive time, stuck pipe, lost circulation, or a dangerous event on someone else's shift. You stop proving you are tough and start proving you are right. Different ego game. Same danger if you handle it poorly. You learn to listen to tool pushers and drillers who can spot field nonsense faster than polished people with perfect slides. The smartest engineers do not fight that. They recruit it. This level also exposes the bigger instability of the industry. Oil prices rise, hiring surges, salaries jump 20 or 30%, and everybody acts like the boom will live forever. Then prices fall and the same business starts cutting travel, freezing projects, and thinning crews. You finally understand the ugly secret of rig wealth. The money can be huge, but it is cyclical. If you spend like the peak is permanent, the trough will educate you personally. Then comes the last transition. You stop thinking about one well. You start thinking about fleets, contracts, risk across operations, and what comes after rigs. Level 8. The rig manager, consultant, or offshore endgame. At the end of the ladder, you are no longer trying to prove you belong on the rig. You are deciding who does. You might be a rig manager overseeing the whole unit. You might be a senior consultant flown in because the company wants experience without sentiment. You might move into executive operations, managing multiple rigs, vendors, budgets, compliance, and ugly phone calls that start before sunrise. Some people step into ownership on the service side instead, building a company around training, inspection, maintenance, fluids, or specialized drilling support. This final level is less cinematic to outsiders and more brutal in a quieter way. The deck noise is replaced by consequence noise, insurance, contracts, investigations, client pressure, regulatory scrutiny, crew retention, energy transition questions. Even if the money is excellent, maybe $200,000, maybe more, maybe much more in rare leadership or specialist cases, you are carrying a different weight now. The old injuries in your shoulders still wake up when the weather changes, but now your mind wakes up too. You look at younger workers and see your whole climb in their posture. The cocky one, the careful one, the one sending every extra dollar home, the one about to waste his boom years on trucks and toys because he thinks the oil price will always forgive him. If you are smart, the endgame is not just earning more, it is converting rig money into a life that can survive when the cycle turns or when your body finally votes no. Some move into offshore wind, marine operations, safety leadership, or training because the skills transfer better than outsiders think. Pressure, permits, rotating crews, heavy lifts, emergency response, isolation. The ocean does not care what sector logo is on the helmet. and the cost of the climb finally becomes clear. You started with a hose in your hands and mud on your boots, thinking this was a job for brute force. You ended as the person who can stop millions of dollars of operation with one sentence, because you learned that the most valuable oil rig worker is not the strongest person on the steel. It is the one who knows exactly when not to keep going.